Thank you for tuning in to Koppen with Comic. I'm Brian Koppen with comic Ian Koranek. Ian Koranek, how the hell are you?
Ugh, fine.
Just fine. How come?
Because I have to be talking to you.
What
No.
the fuck? You
I
got
know,
better.
I'm
You got better
shit.
things. Yeah, you got better things to do. And we're going to talk all about them today. We follow you everywhere. You are Ian Koranek on Twitter and on Instagram. Let's check it out. You got it. You're the funniest Ian Koranek around. You got him on both Instagram and Twitter, but also a pretty actor resume heavy website, iankoranek.com.
Oh yeah, my website is incredibly shitty. So
It's actually pretty fucking cool. Like, you don't have to put money into pictures and graphics if you got this resume to choke a hippo.
Yeah, well, I do choke hippos, but it's a sex thing. No, my website, I have absolutely zero technical skills. I'm so bad with computers, and I barely speak any Spanish, so I'm not equipped to live in the 21st century in any way.
They said it should have
yeah.
slaughtered you as a youth, huh?
Yes, they should have put me on the side of a mountain so that I die, but then I come back and I kill my dad, have sex with my mom. You know, it's an Oedipus reference for those of you at home.
Yeah, no, he doesn't really want to have sex with his mom. That was a reference. That was a very
yes, I was
reference.
referencing classic play Oedipus. But I was saying that's what would have happened if they tried to sacrifice me as a youth. So thank God none of us had to go through that.
But I mean, he's doing all the acting, but he's also keeping up the comedy. What do you got coming up as far as shows?
Well, let's see. I'd have to can I minimize this and check my Google Calendar?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, I'm not even sure. I mean, Zoom is still going to work, right? See, that's how bad I am in technology.
Well, I'm looking at your feed right now, and you had some Pink Cupboard shows. I mean, you got any? Is the Tiny Cupboard, Pink Church at the Tiny Cupboard? Is the Tiny Cupboard closing down because it's losing its lease or not?
No, I don't believe so.
Now, I've heard otherwise, but you're more juiced in than I am, so I'll take your word for it. I hear. I mean, that doesn't mean that things would stop. I think that only means that they'll just kind of, find another venue. But maybe that's not dated information.
I don't know. I hope not. I mean, I did a couple of Tiny Cupboard shows during the pandemic. I mean, because during the pandemic, like it's over. During more quarantine times, I did some rooftop shows.
Yeah, Hobo. Did you do Hobo Cop up there, which is the funnier name in the history of time?
Oh yeah, that's by Candace Cook, a great comic, a good friend of mine. Yeah, she. Wow, you've done your research. I got a little creeped out. Candace had me host a couple of HoboCop shows at the Tiny Cupboard. She has since moved her show to the Grizzly Pear on Tuesday nights, which is on McDougal Street. But I'll just name some dates I have coming up. I'm at Last Call Comedy at the Bridge and Tunnel Brewery on Thursday, January 20th. I'm at Not So PC Comedy at the Producers Club on 8 o'clock on Friday the 21st. I'm at Very Good Comedy at Broadway Comedy Club at 7 o'clock on February 8th. And I'm doing the Barely Making It Instagram show at 8 o'clock on February 16th. So I expect everyone listening to this to come to every single one of them. If you don't love me.
Every single one. And he's on Barely Making It, despite the fact that he is making it like crazy. And what we're going to talk about real quick is the fact that he just makes a living just fucking being an actor. And one of the things that he does is reenactment shows, which I fucking love. I think I was watching one last night, and I think these are of the true crime. I mean, you'll take any gig, I suppose, any paying gig in which you're using your tremendous acting chops. But I think you've kind of done some true crime reenactment to the point where you're actually using it as one of your credits, which I love.
Yeah, I love
like on his comedy bill shows.
Take any job. But yeah, I've done many of those. Yeah, a while ago I did a show called Evil Eye where I played a serial killer.
Yes.
Named Roy Norris, who's a real guy. He and his partner would drive around in a van in Northern California in the 70s, and they kidnapped and did some unspeakable things to 5 women before they got caught.
And they saw you. They saw your audition tape, and they were like, "Ian Koranek's the guy for us." Did you look like him at all?
I don't know. I can't remember if I did, but I remember right after my episode aired, my sister called me and she goes, this is Ron Norris. I just saw you on the TV.
Is he alive in jail now, or is he death row, or what? Or this is an older.
No, I believe he's still in prison. Yeah, or at least he
Oh.
was when we did. This was way back in 2012 that I did that. But I believe he's they're both definitely in prison for life.
And so what got you started on that? And are you interested in them in general? Like, are they always showing your face? Are they just kind of showing you moving around the scene with your face cut out if you don't look like the guy, or what?
No, I mean you see me pretty well in those shows. The only which it's like everybody knows that I'm a huge creep. But I mean it's a little frustrating because I mean they let you improvise, and sometimes you have like a really good scene, you feel great about it, and you're like, oh man, I really want people to see this, and then they just overdub you. So with just narration. So I mean they see you, but I mean they very rarely hear you. I mean,
let me tell you something. Sometimes, because I'm doing like 15 things at once, I will let the TV go on, but put it on mute. And so sometimes you're the only person I see. I don't give a shit about the narration.
Oh, well, hey, that's the important thing. As long as everyone is staring into my eyes. And
can you play? I mean, did you know coming up in all of your kind of literary theater training, your Shakespearean on the stage and whatnot that we can see at iankoranek.com, like, did you think that, man, I can really play creepy pretty well? Who knew?
Everyone always sort of told me that I mean, I remember even when I was first started, dating, I was trying to, hold on, this is going somewhere.
Oh, this is great.
I'd be on a date and I would try to, look sexy to the girl, and she's like, you're freaking me out right now. You're not looking cool or sexy. You're kind of creepy. So
that is
like,
true.
right, cool.
I was about to think that was the joke. You're creeping me out,
No,
bro.
that
It happened.
is a thing that happened, and it was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna never try to do that then. Let me just never. The moment you try to look sexy, you just look like you're about to drag them into a basement. So
can you do that? I mean, is there any way that you can lean into that on stage? I suppose, like, because your credits are that, I suppose some of your material can be that during the comedy show, and they'll be like, hell yeah, this is what I signed up for when I bought the ticket.
well, I really should. I mean, actually, I do have one bit about one time I got stood up for a woman I met on OkCupid, and I was looking for her, in the bar, and I couldn't find her.
Yes.
And so she was blonde, and so at every blonde woman in the bar, I was just staring at to see if I could recognize her. And then I realized later that everybody there definitely thought I was a serial killer.
Yes, you love blonde women. That's what you go for. That's your trigger.
I was looking for a particular one that night, and she didn't show up.
But that's a bit. That's a sketch, right? That's a sketch right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a sketch where, I mean, you can be like, oh, there's this actor who plays this shit on TV, and he actually legitimately had a date, and she legitimately stood him up, and so here's footage of him in a bar trying to scout her out, and they arrest you. Like, are you doing any of this stuff with sketch? I mean, now that you're just the fucking evil, creepy motherfucker, I mean, it's easy to cast you for these kind of indie films, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I haven't played anybody creepy on an indie film or a sketch, but hey, I'm open to anything. Take no casting directions.
Yeah, opportunity lost. But I guess the bigger question is, how the fuck are you getting booked by big commercial brands after you've done stuff like that? And I'm not referring to your acting work. I'm referring to you scouting, scalping chicks in bars, scouting chicks in bars.
Yeah, luckily the casting community were not any of the bars on those particular nights. Yeah, well, what was I remember right after I got the serial killer job, everybody was like, ha ha, you're gonna get typecast, and I was like, ha ha ha. And the next 3 roles I played were a guy stalking an underage girl.
Oh no. I mean, so like in the moment, do you feel this is fucking wrong? I mean, or is it just like, okay, there's a bunch of cameras on me, I have to, I'm a professional. It's like love making scenes, except for creepy motherfuckers.
Oh yeah, no, I do. In fact, I mean, I'm worried, like, please don't cancel me for this. I'm talking about my acting process.
What's the process on this?
Well, one of the things that they drilled into my head in drama school is you can't judge your characters. And by that, I mean, they mean that nobody thinks of themselves as the bad guy.
Right.
So you have to at least understand why a person can rationalize to themselves why they would do something terrible. So we were
Wow,
doing a
that is
scene.
dangerous. That is a
Yeah, right.
tightrope you're walking right now as you speak, because you're like, I mean, even in the Ted Bundy documentary, some detective was like, some people want to get in the mind of a serial killer. I pride myself on an ability, not an inability to do so, or something like that. But you have to try to understand the rationalization. If I guess even in
Well,
talking here, you should be like, dude's crazy. I shouldn't even try to rationalize it and try to get inside his head.
yeah. Well, I'm an actor. That's a little bit more important than being a homicide detective. Okay. No, but I in my mind, when we were doing a scene where we had her in a van and she was like bound and gagged.
She has a
And
name, Ian. She has a name. Stop
her name
it.
was Maggie. Okay, she's a wonderful actress, very nice person. But she was playing a character who was a victim of these horrible guys, and in my mind, I had an inner monologue where I was going, "She deserves it. She deserves it. She deserves it." And that's how I was going in my mind. It's like, well, she deserves it, so this is okay. And then my conscience was going, what the fuck? This is wrong. This is evil. But I had to go, shut up, conscience. I'm pretending.
But I guess that's cool, because it really is just important. I think I read a Michael Caine book a million years ago about film acting, the fact that everything can be so subtle that all you have to do is think these things. And so you having a tormented, conflicted inner monologue, even if it's about kind of processy things, is kind of what the serial killer was probably doing in his head at the time. So maybe your eyes showed it correctly.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, I'm hoping that he perhaps at least had a moment where he's like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this shit. But
oh, you're like, yeah, there's no, yeah. Some of those people, I think they're like, oh, the dark creature takes over and stuff like that. So I imagine there's a slight bit of torment before they let the dark creature in, the quote unquote other being is not responsible. That's so funny. But your eyes or whatever, they must have showed at least a little bit of thought process, which is kind of important for actors. You can't be totally blank, right?
Yeah, no. Well, I do have just dead cold eyes anyway. So
how the fuck did this all happen? You have such a acting resume, and you're obviously successful at acting. Like, what also made you think, I need to do this? Well, you must have been like, I have to express myself theatrically all the time, and one way to do that is through comedy, because you can get up all the time.
Well, I mean, I love acting and I love stand up, and I love them both, and I can't really say that I love one more than the other. But I mean, they both just satisfy a different part of myself. And I've really kind of always wanted to do both. I mean, I even when I was a kid, I mean, uh, I'm 37 years old, and I used to watch a lot of TV and movies that were too old for me. I mean, Betty White just passed away. I mean, I used to watch The Golden Girls when I was like in first and second grade.
Oh, sure. Me too.
Yeah.
I'm older than you, but yeah, I watched it too.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and I loved it. And I mean, The Golden Girls ended the same year that Johnny Carson left The Tonight Show. And I remember I was 8 years old, and I watched Johnny Carson's final show.
I guess you're right. Yeah, me saying that, I did too. It's so stupid, because you're like, dude, you're missing the point, Brian. I was fucking 8 and watching 60-year-old women in the prime of their sexual peak. It is weird. So why is that? Weird. What is it about you? And are they different parts of your being that are being scratched, or do you think it's just, I don't know, two parts of this, two sides of the same coin, which is like, you really love not only that, is one more audience response, is one more self-expression, or are they both are you getting off on both of them? They both give you attention, they both give you a validation, they both give you a chance to express your inner monologue.
Well, I'm not getting off on anything, you sick fuck. No,
he's calling me the sick fuck. This motherfucker.
Yeah,
he's in vans and shit.
Tell you how I justified murdering a woman in a van. I mean, stand-up is certainly a different animal, because obviously you get an audience reaction immediately. Yeah. If a joke works and you get a laugh, you get that dopamine, like, it feels so good. And obviously if it doesn't, it's it's the opposite. But
yeah, what's that?
With acting and what?
What's that chemical? When you bomb, you're like, well, fuck, man, fight or flight, man.
Yeah, that chemical is just gasoline directly into your fucking veins. No, yeah, acting is just it's a different thing. I mean, I think part of the reason why I love acting so much is in real life I'm not confrontational at all. I hate
Ah,
conflict and confrontation so much. But in a scene, you get to kind of play it out in a way that nobody is actually going to have hurt feelings afterwards, you know?
ah. You can
Like you
simulate these awful things. Yeah. Like,
yeah,
simulate
basically.
these scenarios, right? It's like, yeah, if I
Yeah.
kind of was like this in real life, there'd be real consequences. But here, I can almost, I don't know, put on a play and kind of feel something similar without real life consequences. That's kind of like a serial killer, I think. It's
Yeah.
like in their normal life, they're, like I just watched that thing on the BTK killer, which is playing constantly on the one channel. And, he had a very normal life. And he just wanted to, tie his knots in perfect ways. And when it came to, it's like, I want to tie my knots. I want to, put these people in knots. And that's how I get off. And I can't do that in my day job. I put on these
Yeah, it's
little
like, buddy, just
plays.
become a Boy Scout leader. Like,
You can use
just
these
go
knots.
camping, dude.
There's
But just
boats
don't
out there that you could use knots for.
yeah, just time some boats, man. Go to the dock. Jesus.
So what are you
Um,
focusing on in your act though, that kind of that you kind of needed to get out? I mean, like, with acting, you're using other people's words and things, hopefully when it comes to serial killers, but on
yeah.
stage, what are you talking about that you really needed to get out?
Uh, it's really funny because I feel like going to therapy actually made me a better comedian.
Ooh,
Um,
how come? You
well,
kind of needed a little bit after playing serial killers for so long.
well, yeah, no, that's true. But yeah, I feel like some of the stuff that that I've gone through, I never really processed in any kind of way that even approaches healthy.
Uh,
And then once I did that in therapy, I was able to find what was funny about it.
and
And not that
before
I was
then,
necessarily what?
you were not able to, like, you kind of thought, oh, these are secret thoughts that nobody wants to hear. I'm kind of ashamed of them. I'm not dealing with them. But when somebody was like, oh shit, no, what you're thinking is truly normal, and here's other ways you can think about it and deal with it. They gave you tools.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say so. I don't know if necessarily like, oh, I'm ashamed or anything like that. It's just that, I mean, shame is something that's definitely one of my issues. My therapist could tell you that if there weren't occupation confidentiality.
Oh,
But
your therapist will be on. No, your therapist is here right now,
yeah,
Ian.
it's like, and here she is. Oh shit. Um, no, um, what was I
But
saying? Oh yeah,
therapy
no, I
therapy
just sort
made
of
you a better comic. How?
right, because it's like I would talk about the stuff in therapy, and then once I would leave the session, I would sort of think about it more, and then and then my thoughts would inevitably turn to like, well, what's funny about it? And then I would write it down and I would do it on stage, and I'd be like, oh, thank God, it's like I can, and I think any comedian will tell you that any horrible experience, no matter how awful it is totally worth it if you can get a bit about it.
Yeah. But I mean, is that your forever fountain? Is kind of taking stuff from your past and tweaking it and seeing what's funny about it, and then in doing so, do you kind of act it out in a theatrical way or not really?
Wait, you mean in stand up?
Yeah, stand up.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, I mean, I feel like any time that you, no matter, if you're in the arts, I mean, anything that you go through, if you can, write a song about it or write a script about it or stand up or painting, drawing, whatever, and then you work it out. It's just like, oh well, you know what? It doesn't, not that it doesn't cause you pain anymore, but it's like any pain that it causes you is secondary because it's like, oh, in a sense, it's like, well, I own it now
Wow.
because I've made it. Uh, it really belongs to me in a sense of, I'll be able to turn it into something that, uh, turn it into something beautiful. Um,
Until you get a heckler, that's what I thought. I mean, that's just a like I love that you own
and
your,
then
yeah.
they ruined it.
I love you own your shit, but like the more personal it is, the more it must be almost traumatizing again when a heckler interrupts it with something fucking stupid.
Uh, I don't know if it's traumatizing again. Like
Right.
I wouldn't say like, well, this is exactly as bad as the emotional abuse I received from someone who supposedly loved me. No, and this guy being fuck you. Yeah, that's the same. No, but it's just I mean, hecklers are irritating because it's like, obviously the audience is there to see you, and it's like they're ruining the rhythm of the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this, and I can't remember if I've told this story in podcast before, but so forgive me. But I mean, it wasn't a heckler, but one time I was performing in the wintertime, and it was snowing on the ground, and I was still wearing the boots that I wore when I was on stage, and I was in the middle of kind of a physical joke, and I slipped and I fell really hard on my hip,
Oh no.
and I was in a lot of pain, but all I could think of was, fuck, that ruined the rhythm of the joke.
I'm gonna sue Tiny Cupboard over these fucking slippery roofs that ruin the rhythm of my show.
Yeah. Well, this was, no, don't worry, Tiny Cupboard. I'm not. No, they'll actually sue me for slander if I. This was at Joe Franklin's Comedy Room a long time ago, which is not there anymore.
I'm kind of a lawyer, so I will happily defend either side. But like one of the final questions I have is going back to the twisted notion that 8-year-old Ian Koranek is sitting there watching 60-year-old women in pastel blazers sharing cheesecake. What was it about that? What was it about that kind of intrigued you as a young person? Because that will tell me more than any sick, twisted shit I see you do on TV.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I just loved the characters, and they were so funny. So it's like,
yeah,
the fact that, and that's something that I guess has always sort of carried throughout my life, is that I don't care what it is or who's doing it. If it's funny, I like it.
Yeah. And I mean, that the final question is, what serial killer would you share a cheesecake with?
Oh, all of them.
Because I need them as a source for my next project, which is of course
Well,
another
yeah, I mean,
true crime reenactment. Because they're like, dude, we got a twisted motherfucker. Who do we get? Ian Koranek.
yeah. That's, as soon as they see me, they're like, that's the guy.
I love that the old girlfriends are like, dude, you creep me the fuck out. And you're like, yes. Another acting angle. Thank you, girlfriend past. Or yeah. So real quick, he's Ian Koranek, Twitter. He's Ian Koranek. Instagram, we're going to be retweeting all his funny stuff on Twitter. But also, if you want to see this resume that somehow spans the most evil shit, but also, I mean, evil shit current and former, because you were also in Shakespeare and shit like that, but also some of the bigger brands. I mean, watch out, because you think that, like, you know, I think you've been on SNL a couple times, but you're like, dude, this guy who's in this SNL sketch, I didn't know that he also plays a serial killer on TV.
Yeah, true. But I also, so my to spell my name, Ian Koranek, it's IANKORANEK. Please do follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and also YouTube, because I have some sketches up on there.
Nice. Yeah. What kind of, do you have any projects coming out, like as far as sketch that you're real proud of, or that they just up on your YouTube?
Well, there are a few on my YouTube, and I just wrote a sketch that I am hoping to shoot in the next few weeks. So please check that out when it drops. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, then it will tell you when it comes out.
Yes, I love that. I mean, he's not only a great actor, but a great stand-up, but also a great promoter. So Ian Koranek, thank you so much for coming on.
No, Brian, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It was fun.